One more NBA slate to close out the week, and who cares that it's only 3 games? It's got more questionable tags than you normally get on a full slate of games. We're going to do what we always do here. We're going to compare my projections to some of the industry leaders out there at Stokastic and Unabated. We're also going to hop into the world of Unabated, see what the prop betting markets are. We'll sim some DFS lineups along the way. And by the end of this video, you know the must-plays for the January 24th NBA slate. Let's get into it. I just chugged a Diet Coke, so I'm feeling like bad body chemistry going on right now, but appreciate you guys being here. A very weird slate. You can see my alerts. Tyler retweeted my thing here. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go to Underdog. Here we go. Oh, good. My phone is playing too. We're doing great. Questionable guys right now. So first of all, a couple key guys are out. Both Portland centers are out. DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams. That's one thing to know. There's also another thing to know. I complained about it to my pal Josh Engelman yesterday. I'm hoping Stokastic hears the complaints through the grapevine. They don't update their projections now before the show, so I had to change minutes around to reflect the situation where probably Jabari Walker starting for Portland. I would think Klingon playing behind him off the bench, but it's my expectation right now. We'll certainly see when more serious professionals come in. Shout out Tyler being here, stepping into like and view. I do other stuff. Thank you for being here, Tyler. Graph time, of course, and beautiful Friday. Yes, indeed. And a yo for you as well. Your questionable guys right now, John Morant. He's a big one. He's about 45% to play according to Unabated, the presenting sponsor of this show. Justin Fan basically moves guys up in terms of probability to play or moves them down based upon how they go through the normal actions of the day, going to shoot around, reports, things like that. John Morant was not at shoot around with an illness. So certainly can still play today. Certainly doesn't mean that he's a lock to not play, but it seems like less likely to play than to play right now for John Morant. LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, 2 Hornets. This one's really important because Brandon Miller's out for the year. If you get LaMelo Ball and Bridges out, you're going to open up, I think, a pretty big value play in Josh Okogie. You'll also open up the much ballyhooed Vasily Micic value play as well, theoretically there. Just more minutes to go around for Charlotte overall. You'll get a better version of Mark Williams, who's not in the injury report. It is a demon right now in terms of his production. Of course, he's been riding that hot hand a lot lately. That's what you're getting for Charlotte right now with their Q tags. And Karis LeVert, his Q tag is important because you do have Evan Mobley out. If you have him out and you also have Karis LeVert out, it'd be a little bit easier to play Ty Jerome as value. I did tout him the other day as a guy that I thought was a pretty good value pivot. He ended up having one of the better value days. Wish I'd played him more, to be honest. That said, that's a key one to watch out for. More minutes to go around the wing in general. And your probable guys, these doesn't really matter that much. It's Simons, Kamara, Donovan Klingon. Klingon making his return to the lineup. So that's why I wouldn't lock him in at all. I have him today playing 22 minutes. That could even be a stretch because he's been playing off of an ankle injury here. That's why he's been out the last few weeks. So a little bit of a risk there. You run into a minutes cap. It's why I think you get Jabari Walker starting and then Klingon coming off the bench. But I guess they could start him and just, limit his minutes. A little bit of a big question coming up. But let's look at projections and what we got here. LaMelo Ball, your top guy in the slate, and this is one of those slates too. It's a 3-gamer. I have nobody above 50 fantasy points. So LaMelo Ball is my highest guy right now. 48.2 for me, 53.2 for Stokastic, so they're much higher. If I had to guess, the rates that I'm using because of Brandon Miller being off the court are not quite as favorable as whatever they have for him. But LaMelo this year, court time without Brandon Miller, he has averaged 38.9% usage, 38.6% assist rate, 1.5 fantasy points per minute. I don't feel like I'm that far off for LaMelo's points average here. Let's see. I have LaMelo today. I have him at 1.39, so maybe I am underselling him a little bit compared to what he normally gets. That said, the rates are the rates. I just kind of work off of that, and whatever the fantasy points per minute end up as, that's what they end up as off of that. His rates, though, to me, and at least the increase for Miles Bridges being higher. Mark Williams, the usage comes up a little bit, but comes down a little bit in assist rate and stuff like that. I'm not really sure why I'm so low on LaMelo, but I lowered him a lot lately since Brandon Miller's been out, and it hasn't hurt me too much. I think in particular because Bridges just taken so much usage away. If Bridges is out of the equation, LaMelo to me looked like a lot better play. If Ball and Bridges are out of the equation, everybody in the Hornets is like fair game to play at this point in a matchup that's really not that difficult going against Portland. But LaMelo in the spot, he's going to be your chalk play of the day, and I'm currently under on him. Tyrese Maxey, 6% for the field today with no Joel Embiid, no Andre Drummond as well in that spot. Philadelphia playing a matchup that would have looked like a marquee one, I guess, when they initially scheduled it. Cleveland, Philadelphia, but Philadelphia not a great total here. Only a 228.5 over-under is not the highest in the world either for the game itself. But Maxey, I have no real issue with it. I'm getting double the field. Not a big stand overall, but a 10K salary for Tyrese Maxey. We're not really getting there. Mark Williams. He is number 3 for me on the slate. He also, I believe in Battle Royales, I saw was going like number 2 overall and might have been ahead of LaMelo. In the ADPs there. Mark Williams is a monster. The second half, if you want to watch a fun second half of just a big man running wild in the modern NBA, his second half versus Memphis was really interesting to see. He had a really bad first quarter stint, and I immediately harkened back to my stream I'd done earlier today, my pal Josh Engelman, where he was like, yeah, you might have a hard time with Zach Edey. A lot of guys seem to weirdly have a tough time with Edey and how he's kind of is in the way a lot. He had a tough first quarter against Edey. I think maybe a tough start of the second quarter as well. Then started to rebound more, started to kind of get into a rhythm. In the third, fourth quarter, they were getting their asses kicked, but he was just rim running over and over and over again. I think he put up like 30 real life points in the second half of that game. Mark Williams is just a monster. And if you do get LaMelo out, if you do get Bridges out, the ball's just going to go in his hands more. And it's weird because he's not Jokic, but he does kind of have a Jokic-like ability to produce in fantasy where stats just compile for him quickly, where he'll get you some stocks. In that Memphis game, I don't believe he really had much in the way of blocks and steals, at least that I was seeing from the parts that I saw. It was just a lot of rebounds and then a lot of just easy baskets at the rim. Edey looked so bad later. Yeah, he was really like, it was weird. The first half, he was competitive, was fighting him off. I don't know if it's just, kind of like a Derrick Henry kind of thing for, football analogy. I don't know if just the crush of Mark Williams banging against him the entire game caught up with him, but Mark Williams is just running to the rim. Granted, Memphis was up like 30 points, so they were probably let it happen, ready to let that happen. But, Mark Williams too, playing throughout that game as well. The fact they kept him out there, even though the game was pretty much well out of hand, they kind of dug out of it in the fourth quarter, but didn't really get into, legit striking range. I think Mark Williams has good upside in terms of the minutes played as well. So Mark Williams, I'm on board with again, 7,800 price tag can keep coming up until he's like 8K, and that's with LaMelo and Bridges in. I'm probably not going to get less. If he's 9K, I think then we're talking about it's a tough call, but he's just not priced appropriately yet for me. They're just lobbing the ball from half or three-quarter court to Williams. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. He really does. He finishes well at the basket. He is unafraid. He runs every play as well, which is a big man sometimes. They do conserve their energy a little bit, / a little bit lazy sometimes for some guys. Mark Williams is not that guy. I've talked about him a lot on this show and on the deeper dive whenever I do that. One of my favorite players to watch the NBA this year because he's like relentless in a way that I really appreciate. Currently, though, I got an 85% in my top 150 lineups, feels at 37. So pretty big pro stand on Mark Williams here for me, which I have no issue with on a 3-game slate. That's not the sexiest one in the world either. DeJounte Murray, Fields getting 39% of him. I'm getting at 37. Certainly not a big stand on him, but DeJounte Murray at this point still probably going to be a play that comes up a lot, even if you're not having him too highly projected. I've been 42.9 today, and that's accounting for the rate boost you'd expect with Ingram and Zion off the court, both guys out today. Zion in a return to competition, which doesn't really make sense because he hasn't been hurt. But I guess the snow day off, and now he needs to get back in shape because he missed one game. And that one game was all the cardio he does in a given week, I guess. So Zion is out today. DeJounte Murray, I think an okay play, but the rates to me kind of leveled out between him, Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum. Like they all get enough of a boost, and I'll get good amounts of them. I'm getting Murphy 15%, getting McCollum 20, getting DeJounte 37. Obviously, no big stands relative to the field, but you just kind of want a taste of all the guys. I don't really feel like one is that much of a play over the other. Let's see. Question with 3-game slate. Is it better to stack a game? It's better to follow projections. I don't want to be like, not to try to dismiss your question with like an easy kind of statement, but like legit just there's values in some games. There's not values in others. You might get lucky. And in any game situation for even a big slate, you should probably consider boosting bringbacks if you're getting a ton from one game, because your expectation, if you have like, let's say a lot of guys from one game or one team rather, in all your lineups, your hope is that that game is competitive. Those guys are getting 4 quarters of run. Maybe the game goes to overtime. Maybe the game just has a lot of points, a lot of possessions going their way. So like naturally, you should kind of want more guys from the other side of that game, from the other team in that game in any slate. But in terms of 3-game slate, I wouldn't weight it more or less. You play where you want to play. Allen in a good place. He is in a good place. Matchup should be soft for him for sure, going against Philadelphia with Yabu at center. And Williams, 8,500 in FanDuel. On this slate, you play it. If it's like a Jokic slate, you probably don't play that quite as much, but I'd still play him at that price tag, especially on FanDuel with where the blocks and steals get you a little bit further. And it's not like 3-pointers matter for him. Double-doubles would matter a little bit, not having that on FanDuel, but whatever. It'll be Mark Williams, big stand on him. DeJounte Murray, less of a big stand. Darius Garland, big stand on him. Darius Garland, so with Mobley off the court, he's just been great. There have been times this year where I've kind of been confused by my projections for Mitchell, and then I see stuff like this, and I get why I'm just lower on Mitchell in general with how he's played this year. Garland, 30% usage, 34% assist rate, 1.35 fantasy points a minute, and about 1,292 possessions. So more than double where we want to be for a sample size to feel safe in the NBA. He's got that amount of time without Mobley on the court. He's been that good of a player. Donovan Mitchell, we're right at that sample size. You want to have 550 possessions generally is the back tested number for rates to stabilize for these guys. Mitchell's had 32% usage, 22% assist rate, 1.27 fantasy points per minute. And granted, I kind of expect that 0.08 fantasy points per minute differential with Mobley off the court to level out a little bit over the course of time. But it speaks to the fact that like Garland has just been a better player than Mitchell overall. Mitchell also, true shooting for him has been pretty bad with Mobley off the court. Might be a spatial thing there, but he's only got 52% true shooting, whereas Garland has certainly shot hot with 63% true shooting in court time without Mobley this year. And I guess we did kind of see that the other day where Garland missed a lot of shots there, including the free throws he missed that were very important for the outcome of that game. So maybe it's just one of those things where Garland is due more negative results and Mitchell's due more positive results. If that's the case, you should probably split this ownership better, where Garland's projected for 40% played by the field. I'm getting him at 78 in my top 150. Mitchell's projected for 20% owned by the field. I got him at 11. I think trying to find a middle ground there more, maybe just manipulating the projections to get these guys closer to evenly is fair. Garland's $800 cheaper, but I think basically like I would give them a more similar projection, maybe average out 37.4. Maybe just give them, I'll just do the math because that's the kind of person I am. Just give them 37.4 plus 42.7 divided by 2. Just give them a 40.1 projection each, so you'll still get Mitchell a little bit there as a tournament play, 8,300. You'll still get more Garland naturally, but the split won't be this big because I don't think it should be a 2x split. One guy just happens to have run really hot with Mobley off the court. One guy's ran really cold with Mobley off the court and has also played less time with it in Mitchell's case. Ja Morant, Q tag right now. If he doesn't play, he's not going to be, well, he won't be owned at all. If he does play, he looks a little bit under owned. 7% owned right now. I got him at 1% of my top 150. Doesn't project that well. Still think he's probably more likely than not to sit out today. But that said, I can't tell you at this point. It's Ja Morant. He missed shoot around, so normally your inclination should be that he wouldn't play, but he's a big enough star. If he doesn't practice, whatever, doesn't go to shoot around, doesn't really matter that much. If he feels well enough to play, he's going to play. But if he is ill, you expect him to be a little bit decreased in production. Certainly not going to see the upper band of his minutes projection either. Today, Stokastic has him for 28.3 minutes. He doesn't normally play high 30s anyway, besides like one random game a couple weeks ago that he hasn't repeated since. So Ja Morant, I have no issue with. It's a tournament option if you want to go there because there's a short enough slate, but he really does project awfully. And the situation on its face just doesn't seem that good for him. Trey Murphy, top projected guy. Bridges, 45% of the field will be there. I'll be at 46%. If you can't hear, that seems like that's probably on you. I would hope you can clean your ears out, maybe. I don't know. The audio's working fine, though. What else do we got here amongst the top guys? Yeah, Bridges really is an important one. Almost half the field will be there. I'm getting it flat with the field, so not a big stand for me. But Bridges, if he's in, currently a Q tag, an important play. Everything else here, we'll see in the value separation. Let's sort by value. Take a look through that prism, using my projections here and comparing to Stokastic along the way. This feels like more of a general complaint. Maybe he's just saying that not even about the content. He's like, I can't hear. Maybe, I'm sorry, somebody went deaf. Maybe it's a complaint for captions. I don't know how to do live captions, unfortunately. Jabari Walker. So this is, again, me having to project Portland myself, which I'm always careful on. As you've seen this week, I'm pretty good at minutes projection, but it is like a different data build that I don't want to do every day. And Stokastic, because when they're updating minutes right now, is making me do every day. If that's the case, I'll just be prepared to kind of update my minutes for players that have moved around from being ruled in, ruled out through the course of a day. I'll be prepared to do that every day. This is now the third day in a row I've had to do it. Thankfully, only 3 games, so I think I got it about as good as it can be. I have Walker playing 25 minutes with Ayton and Robert Williams out. Jabari Walker has been the one coming onto the court, filling in for the most part whenever one of the centers has been unavailable. So yesterday he was coming in for minutes where you didn't have Robert Williams out there. The other times he was coming in for when you didn't have Williams, Ayton would start, and then you'd have Walker coming in playing the center. So I know I saw our pal John Warner from the Badge Bros saying like, oh, I took some Duop Reith on one of the Discord channels today. Don't take Duop Reith. I would not expect him to be in the mix at all. It's been Walker. Reith's been out of the rotation. Klingon's coming back in. I don't think Klingon starts necessarily because it's an ankle injury, and usually coming off of an ankle, you could slow roll guys a little bit, and especially as a huge guy like Klingon is. If he gets to start, though, wheels up for Klingon. If Walker gets to start, I don't know if it's quite wheels up, but he's an okay play at 3,300. They both have a time and a place, but much is the case for pretty much every NBA DFS slate, like yesterday with Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes didn't start. You got to not play him as much. I knocked him down entirely in my outlay of lineups yesterday. I would say the same thing here, where if you get Walker not starting, I would really knock him down a lot because some out of the field is going to play him. If you get Klingon not starting, I would knock him down a lot because you're going to get some out of the field not playing him. That's basically how I treat it right now. But if Klingon starts, though, I think your expectation is that he could play mid-20s minutes at the very least. And if he plays mid-20s with him averaging on the year, where is he at? He has been at a 1.08, so 1.1 fantasy point per minute pace. I'd have him at 1.13 today. Like if he's starting, you take the shot, I think, at 4K for Donovan Klingon. I would say if he starts, I would end up with a good amount of Klingon and Mark Williams lineups tonight. Ty Jerome, another top value for me. Again, we'll look a little bit safer if you get Karis LeVert out. Still think he's going to play the 20 minutes here that Stokastic has him projected for. He's a beast. He's been really good on the year. They just sometimes cycle him out of the rotation with all the bodies they have in. Max Strus coming back in particular. Seems like it squeezes minutes a little bit. But no Okoro for them, which does kind of matter for those wing minutes. And then also you have no Evan Mobley. So there's opportunity to go around. Certainly, I would say for the matchup with Cleveland, they are a 10.5 point favorite on the road. You're probably getting Ty Jerome being a contributor to that, I would think, to some extent. With him having some likely easy buckets against that second unit for Philadelphia, that's really not good. Despite Mark Williams' price tag being up, he'd still be a top value for me. Darius Garland, despite his price being where it is, would still be a top value for me. Santi Aldama is another Q tag for Memphis. Not in love with Santi Aldama at 4,800, but he has projected well for me in most spots. Gains usage a little bit from not having Marcus Smart out there in the current projections. Would also gain a little bit more if John Morant were out. But still, he's not like a great play that I'm going to advocate a ton for. But I am at 43% compared to the field's 28%. But you can see here the really big stands to me. Mark Williams, Darius Garland. Strap in. Those guys are going to be your splash plays of the day later on. The Klingon and Jabari ownership, you got to throw this out because Stokastic didn't update their stuff. So I don't really know where they are ownership-wise, and I'm not sure where I'm going to get them. Because with the sim as well, I tried to juke his projection, Klingon's projection. Because they have him not being owned and not projected on the slate, he doesn't come up at all in the field of lineups they create. So there's really no workaround for me on that part, unfortunately, which, I hate giving you guys like a not all the way there product for the stream, but I'm just kind of, much like you guys are, I'm subject to the whims of whatever these companies are doing with their data and their tools and all that. All right, guys, we're going to go game by game here. We got 10 minutes, so it should be easy to do and still hit unabated on time. Please show some love if you can. We're on that march to 1K subs on here. And, of course, the views go up and down based on the days, but I'm still here doing the work no matter what. Monday to Friday at 4 p.m., showing you my projections. When they change minutes and shit, don't update minutes for me. I then learn how to build minutes better, so that's what I'm doing now. But every day here, I'll do the best I can, no matter what's available, to give you the best read I possibly can, the best and the best read on every NBA slate. So that's the promise here. Subscribe down below with the like button, leave a comment. Trying to hit 1K subs before the All-Star break if possible. And I don't know if it's possible, but Lord knows I'm going to try by being here and sitting in this chair every Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Stokastic, 15% off promo code SPLASH. Unabated, $30 off promo code SPLASH. Check them all out. Links in the description. They all support the show directly when you click those links and partake accordingly. So partake, please. But partake my wife, please. Ha ha ha. How we all laugh. Cleveland, 119.5 implied points. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen. These guys all benefit from not having Evan Mobley in. That said, as I mentioned before, Mitchell to me coming up not very much. The rates and court time without Mobley have not been good. He's also just been missing a lot of shots. He's been in, again, 51% true shooting, normally at 57.5%. I don't goose shooting rates, which may be something I should look at, but like it's unquestionable to me looking at the numbers here. Garland's been shooting hot with Mobley off the court. Mitchell's been shooting cold, Mobley off the court. That's going to affect things a little bit more than it should. So I will highlight that because that is why these numbers are the way they are. I just take the rate data without accounting for that. And thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you listening to my advice. Again, even if you fade everything I say, just know that I'm coming about it from a place of the most earnest intentions with the data we have. Jared Allen, we got 35% ownership for the field. 37% for me in my top 150. Mitchell going to go off. Look, I mean, again, he's not shooting very well without Mobley. Like, legit for him, you're talking about 51% true shooting. And the best comp is DeJounte Murray, we've talked about here. Like I said, he's been shooting so terribly on the year. He's due for some good days because, like, that's just how that works when you're an NBA player and you're a professional. And, like, you have to at least be at some level of where you've been in the past. Like, for Mitchell, you're talking about 6 percentage points of true shooting. For a guy like Murray, he had like 3, 4, 5 hot games in the span of a couple of weeks. He only climbed like 1 percentage point. So you got to think for Mitchell, like, what it means to be, at 51% true shooting with Mobley off the court. And, like, he's going to probably get better there. There could be a reason why he's maybe not shooting as well, which is like maybe Mobley screens a lot for him, and that's why he's not getting quite as open. But that's a pretty big gap. And the fact Garland's shooting hot too, I think does go hand in hand. Anyway, my thought would be, even though I'm getting a lot more Garland, Fields getting a lot more Garland, I think you got to try to level these guys out a little bit more. Mitchell at this point, this low of an ownership, and Garland at double it, he just makes Mitchell a good tournament play no matter what. Give some of the usage to Allen. Sure. Thank you, Divine Insights. Thank you for that. Always half a troll from Go F Yourself. The username. How is Donovan Mitchell's Eastern Conference? How is he an Eastern Conference All-Star? Isn't that the fan vote? I mean, it's mostly that he's a part of a winning team and he's the most known guy from it, I think would be it. But yeah, that's basically it. He's like not been bad this year. It's just that Garland's been roughly the same player at a younger age. And he's sitting back enough. Part of Mitchell's success here is like letting the other guys do stuff. So full credit to him for Mobley actually being able to get shots up this year, and Garland too. Ty Jerome, we talked about him already, 61% for me, Fields at 21. Would feel a little bit safer about those minutes with LeVert. LeVert's still banged up, though, on the Q tag for the second straight game. So the hope would be if you get LeVert out, I think Ty Jerome is maybe not a lock and load play, but like I think he's got a very good shot at returning value for you at 4,100. At 4,100 with LeVert in, it does feel a little bit not quite as good. He has been underwhelming, but that's because he's deferring a lot more. If he just brute forced you with usage like he has in the past, he'd probably be putting up numbers a little bit more, but he's down to 30% usage, which for Donovan Mitchell, that's actually pretty reasonable in terms of his approach. One of my big concerns when they traded for Mitchell is that he would stunt Garland and Mobley's growth. And I think he did initially. And now this year, like those guys are blossoming in part because he's just not jacking up shots every single time like he used to. We got, Karis LeVert. About a third of the field will be on him. I'm with that if he plays, unfortunately. Dean Wade. So Dean Wade is one thing. Stokastic has Tristan Thompson projected for 17.5 minutes. I'm not buying that because the Cavs could basically just go to Dean Wade at the 5 a little bit more, and they did that in part of the fourth quarter last time out. So Stokastic has you thinking Tristan Thompson's a good value. He certainly can be. But with the fact that Philadelphia doesn't have any big men of note, you're just going to have Yabusele playing the 5 there, and I guess Pete Nance off the bench. Is Adem Bona available? Adem Bona is available off the bench as well, but you're not going to have anybody with size you're worried about. They really have no reason they have to play Tristan Thompson 17.5 minutes here. So I would watch out for that one if he does become like a chalk value thing that when they update stuff, because I'm not buying that at all. That's Cleveland for you, though. A lot of ownership coming here. High total for them. And again, you're missing Mobley. So that's all factors coming together here. Make for a team you want to own. Philadelphia, 109 implied points. No Embiid, no Drummond here. Nobody looks that great, though. Maxi's been priced up. Paul George's been priced up. The Magic versus Cleveland as well. It's a little bit softer. Without Mobley, still a team on the year, giving up a 112 defensive efficiency rating. So for these guys here, I would say that I think it's an interesting tournament play for Maxey at 6% owned. I think Paul George at 31% feels appropriate. I'm getting him at 31. And even then, he's like not really more than a 5x value. He just works well at shooting guard, small forward, and 8K salary. You could easily move some of that Paul George ownership to Maxey if you want. It's going to be hard to do that, and you would have to fade LaMelo a little bit more to get there. For Oubre, 15% for the field. I'm getting a third of that. Yabu getting basically with the field a little bit higher. Court time without Embiid and Drummond, he has produced at a 0.9 fantasy point per minute rate, so not that bad for a guy. Expected to play 30 minutes here. Certainly could play a few more if it's a competitive game. And frankly, like Adem Bona, he does nothing out there. He's one of those like big stiff guys that I really don't enjoy. Pause. But like I don't like guys like at center that don't really do anything unique and don't rim run well and don't block and don't rebound. He doesn't do a whole lot. Is Wade scheduled to start? All right, so there you go. So No, are you doing your bullshit again? No, sorry, man. You can't say that. You can't say that because you're wrong about that for like 3 straight times, dude. I'm giving you a timeout, troll username. Unless that was an announcement for the Cavs, you're not allowed to say so-and-so scheduled to start. If it was an announcement from the Cavs, then I apologize for muting you, but I don't believe it was yet. But that guy was wrong. Reese Beekman had a great game the other day, did not start as you said he would. So I'm policing you. You got to be accurate if you're going to say things authoritatively. Anyway, for Philly here, good amount of ownership going to George, Yabu, a little bit less for Oubre. I think they're all okay enough plays. Justin Edwards as well. Been a good shooter around the year. Fills it up from time to time. They might need that against Cleveland. I could see taking shots at him with on a slate where there isn't really great real value. Really, though, not a lot to like love, I think, in Philadelphia. Yabu at power forward center, 5K salary. It's probably the closest I would get to that. I think he knocks down some threes today. Like, I think you're going to have Jared Allen chasing him around to the, it's a 3-point line, and that's going to be something where they're not going to do that very well. All right. No Morant, no Bain. Trust me, we'll still tank your line. Morant might not even play. What are we talking about? Morant is currently questionable in his shoot around, so I wouldn't make that your stand today for like, yes, if Morant's out, Bain's probably going to be much closer to a play. But even then you have Jaren Jackson there. You still have other guys there. I'm not poo-pooing the take, but hard to be full-throated about that when the guy wasn't at shoot around and seems to be treading towards not playing. Ja Morant, that is. Portland, 108.3 implied points. Charlotte, 113.8 implied points. Portland, not a lot for me here. Though, again, the sim stuff is going to fuck it up a little bit with Klingon and Walker. If I had to guess, just again, this is me doing some holding up my finger to the wind stuff. I would think that if Klingon were going to get 22 minutes projected, he'd probably be about 20% owned. Jabari Walker, if he were to starter, getting 25 minutes projected. It's not about playing hurt. It's about playing with an illness. For Donovan Klingon, I think that he would be a play people would gravitate towards more. Jabari Walker has been good enough at a 0.83 fantasy point per minute pace. I wouldn't mind that spot. I think that for Portland here, it's going to look like a chalkier team for Klingon and Walker than it looks right now with Stokastic not having an updated. The rest of the guys, I don't think get impacted too much. I boosted rates for Avdia, boosted rates for Scoot, basically whatever they get with Ayton off the court. Nobody looks that much better. In fact, nobody really even close to a 5X value. So I've been off on Portland a little bit this year. I think a lot of projection systems have, because guys like Anthony Simons suddenly have good games sometimes and really dog shit games for portions of the year. Shaedon Sharp had that hot run. Now he's back down to normal with Jeremy Grant in. He's getting less minutes. Scoot's playing a lot of minutes. I was in foul trouble last game, but can spike an upside, but it's easier for him to hit his upside when Avdia's not in. It's easier for Avdia to hit his upside when Grant's not in, but they're all in right now kind of doing that. So, all right, man, I got to tell you, I don't care. Sorry. You keep saying stuff. It doesn't mean it's going to be right. Anyway, besides that here, I just want to leave room for actual chats. I hate when it's just one name, the entire thing, and it's somebody I don't even know. Sorry to that guy. I'm sure you're a great dude, but I don't care. Portland could pick up more ownership here, but I think really the centers are the ones you're looking at right now. Whoever starts, play him. Whoever doesn't start, bump him down. Charlotte, and that's also this one you're going to know when the slate locks as well. 2 games at 7, 1 game at 8. So that's what you're getting today. Charlotte, 113.8 implied points. LaMelo here. Again, big fade for me on him. A 10% sim ownership. Really think he's going to be over-owned today. He has been kind of deferring a little bit to Mark Williams, as he should, given how good Mark Williams has been. Mark Williams, I'll have the big stand in favor of. LaMelo, I'll have the big stand against right now. Probably don't want to be this under on LaMelo, I think, but he's one of very few pay-up options on the slate. But that said, nobody's projected above 50 fantasy points to me, and that's that. If you get Bridges out, though, and LaMelo in, play LaMelo more than I'm saying right now. If you get LaMelo out and Bridges in, play Bridges even more than we're going to get. But Williams and Bridges, to me, look like the best plays right now. More than 2x the field on Mark Williams, flat with the field on Bridges will be in about half my lineups. That's the stance to have right now. And yeah, I appreciate you laughing. Please tell me if I'm being unfair. I don't need him. These guys declaring blowouts. You should never, it's one of the things I know the deeper dive guys on Stokastic when it was Lofty and Shit My Money every day talk about it a lot. And they would say it every show because you hear about it so much on these YouTube chats when a lot of people come in. You're so much better off not projecting blowouts in DFS every single day. That's the thing that you have to fight off here. And in fact, in most situations, was it Utah the other day where they played one game competitive where they were gigantic dogs? It's when you play that competitive, you'll sometimes find major outlier value. The Clippers the other day when they had all the guys out They had a bunch of like 50 fantasy point guys because of the fact that like you should have so much value opened up for the guys that are missing, and it knocks down the Vegas total. It doesn't mean the guys that are left in the roster aren't going to play well or have any success. So like just projecting blowouts is like such a fool thing to do. And when you're saying every game is a blowout, like you're just not doing this right. Thank you. Ain't nobody come to see Otis. Thank you for that. Anyway, just a tangent about it. You're just better off here not projecting blowouts ever is what I'll say. What do I think of Kennard if Morant is out? Thanks for the grind. I appreciate you, Sean. Yeah, I would say for me, Kennard could be a better play. Like sometimes Kennard starts when Morant's out. Sometimes Pippen starts when Morant's out. The big thing is like having Bane in is really the thing that kind of keeps them impeded no matter what. So not really a big fan of either, but we'll get there when we get to Memphis. Anyway, Charlotte, to try to wrap this up here, I'm taking more time. We got a good point about yesterday. Seemingly had a lot of blowouts and actually had a ton of upsets. That's absolutely correct. And it happens more often than people realize. Anyway, if Bridges is out, I think Josh Okogie, smash play at 3,200. He's been the direct backup for Bridges since the trade of Nick Richards going to Phoenix. LaMelo Ball, if he's out, you're going to get Micic more. Isaiah Wong will look more appealing. I don't think KJ Simpson's available. Let me just confirm that. KJ Simpson is available, so it'd become a split backcourt with Micic, KJ Simpson, and Isaiah Wong to some extent. So LaMelo, not a direct beneficiary, I would think. But if Bridges is out, Okogie absolutely becomes that guy. He's been really good on the year. Phoenix court time with like the stars out there, he's been was really good. I didn't give him any rate boost or anything, just kept his normal rates. He's been averaging 0.92 fantasy points a minute this year. Okogie's like a really good player to fill in for Bridges if you do get Bridges out. New Orleans, 116.5 implied points. We'll get to unabated in a moment. Of course, taking to the betting markets. We got a lot of ownership going to DeJounte Murray. I'm a little bit light on that. 15% ownership going to Trey Murphy. I'm with that, basically. McCollum, 27% going his way. I have 20 in my top 150. Eve Missy, about double the field's ownership for them compared to me. I'm at 12%. Javonte Green's the one I'm really like, I don't get why. 34% for the field. I got him at 11. I also have him projected for 16.4 points. Stokastic has him for 20.1. I assume that $3,600 salary at small forward, power forward really helps the lineups work in a sim kind of thing that Stokastic would have. That's like a lot of ownership for Javonte Green. I just did not see him come up that much for me, but I have him 4 points lower, so I guess that's probably why. Rotation for New Orleans, though, kind of weird now. Like Brandon Boston's down at 3K. He's out of the rotation a little bit more. Javonte Green playing more minutes. You still have Alvarado in, whose rates do theoretically move up without Ingram and Zion out there. New Orleans is a weird team right now, and I don't really love anybody here. But obviously, you're going to get Murray the most, I think, even if you don't like Murray that much. And I'm lower on him projection-wise. I'm still getting him in about a third of my lineups. Last but not least, Memphis here with Ja Morant currently assumed to be in. That guy who had the million chats about Ja Morant going off, I'm sure it would be very happy to see him play today. That said, it does seem like he's not likely to play. Frankly, unabated never drops guys to 45%. It's usually 50, no matter what. Obviously, I'm not saying that like based on their process, but like just what it is, what I see day to day. Morant being 45, I think would lead me to think he's probably got a lower shot of playing. He certainly can play. It's a home game, but I think you're probably going to be prepared for the fact that like if Morant is out, you're going to want some swappability. So Jaren Jackson, 28% owned by the field right now. 20% would be my exposure. I'm low on him. That would absolutely change if Morant were out. At 8,100, I think he'd be at a much more reasonable price tag. Got to remember that for the couple games Morant was out, Jaren Jackson got up to like 9,500 or so. He is probably really mispriced if Ja Morant's out for this game. The total, too, is crazy high. So to that guy's credit, if like Ja Morant plays, it wouldn't be shocking because 127.5 is a really steep total here. Even though, New Orleans does suck, they are a pace down spot. It's a really high number. Desmond Bane would also benefit quite a bit if Ja Morant's out. If he's in, I'm getting less Desmond Bane, 20% for the field. I got him at 12. I also have him about 3 fantasy points lower. I guess 2.5 fantasy points lower than Stokastic does. Santi Aldama, a little bit higher on him. I got 43% compared to the field's 28. I've had him the last 2 slates. He's a Q tag as well. I kind of wish he didn't play because he looks like a good value to me, and I'm getting him a lot as a result. But I don't want to have a big stand on Santi Aldama. The field's going to be there, though. I think he's okay, mid-tier, semi-value with a 23-minute projection. Jalen Wells been playing hot lately, shooting guard, small forward at 4,400. Not a great producer on the year, 0.75 fantasy points a minute, which is why I'm getting Aldama more. I think Wells is a valid play, and frankly, he and Aldama probably pull from the same kind of pool of available stats, let's say. So I think Wells boosting him a little bit and lessening Aldama would not be a crazy thing for me to do. Zach Edey, not in play for me with a 20-minute projection, less than that. Scottie Pippen, you would need Morant to be out to really get there. I got 11% though, because there's no values in the slate, and Pippen's 3,700. Brandon Clark didn't get there at 3,500, and center only. But that's the slate, guys. So let's go to Unabated now. Let's get some good bets. Shout out you guys hanging out in chat. Shout out to the guys who want to participate and maybe don't participate in the way I want. But listen, man, I get distracted easily. Like, I'm one of those people that if I get a notification on my phone, I need to switch to it and see what's going on. So, you just can't spam chat with bad takes. Anyway, let's run a video here telling you all about our sponsor, Unabated here, our presenting sponsor, and their conditional NBA projections, which will change your life in betting in DFS right now. Happen in the NBA. It's what you're paying for with Unabated every single day. People that know the biz. Dynamic projections, swap guys in, swap guys out. There's 5 Q-Tag guys. You can see different projection sets for all of them, whether they're in or out. Give them the old in out. Real-time news here. Not to be on Twitter anymore. You get some Discord alerts that are even faster than some of the ones you get on Twitter. And you know what we're going to get here? We're going to see some graphs. Oh, there's a graph. Oh, there's a graph. Oh, there's another graph. Oh, Hey, those are graphs for you. That's Graph Biz. They also have streams around this time, but they're only for paying customers. You got to hang with me if you're not paying for them. Get ready. Unabated.com/NBA, promo code SPLASH. We've entered the world of Unabated here, and let's get all the lines pulled in here. Of course, we are admitting the Q-Tag guys here, the teams that are affected by his Q-Tag, so no Memphis lines, no Charlotte lines, no Cleveland lines. That's how we're looking right now. But from the remaining teams here with no Q-Tags to worry about, here are your best bets for points. Justin Edwards over 6.5 points, 19.5% EV for the higher on 6.5 points on Underdog. Not available on your sports books, not available on PrizePicks. So Underdog only, 19.5% EV for Justin Edwards over 6.5 points. Scoot Henderson over 10.5 points, 12.7% EV for Scoot at minus 106 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. You probably don't want it on the other ones. You could take it on Underdog, but I'd say Scoot, FanDuel Sportsbook primarily here, 12.7% EV for over 10.5 points for him. These other ones are under the threshold we want to have, ideally at least a 5%. On this stream, I do only read out the ones over an 8% because that's really the margin I was told. It's going to give you the best results, but there's some more here. Again, there's only 3 games, and we ruled out like 3 teams because of the Q-Tag. So going to be a fast, Unabated segment today. Some of these bad boys, we got some games from tomorrow coming up. We don't care about those. Oh, come on. Come on. Why the worst bit in the world is Unabated logging me out? Like, inconsistently at that. Anyway, we're logging back in. We're going to get back to rebounds. Motherfuckers. Everybody's got to make me earn it every day. Stokastic has to change the projections up. Unabated has to log me out. I'm just trying to show your products and move some merch here. Jesus. Imagine if on QVC, if the guy's showing somebody the shitty cosmetic jewelry and it just explodes in their face, they have to go, I swear the jewelry won't explode in your face. That's not ideal. Anyway, we've got some good lines here, though. Under 3.5 rebounds for Shaedon Sharpe, plus 106 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook gets you 20.5% EV. Shaedon Sharpe line also available on DraftKings Sportsbook under 3.5 at plus 100. Seems like they maybe overpriced the boys here for not having 8 and in. So Shaedon Sharpe under 3.5 rebounds, good wherever you can get it. Yves Missy under 8.5 rebounds. That's good to go on PrizePicks and Underdog. 15.6% EV on those sites. On DraftKings, got 14.7% EV for Yves Missy under 8.5. And on FanDuel, 9% EV for Yves Missy under 8.5 at minus 134 odds. So you can take Yves Missy on all the sites. The Grand Slam, it's available on PrizePicks, Underdog, DraftKings, and FanDuel. Tamani Kamara under 5.5 rebounds for him. Good to go on PrizePicks, 12.3% EV. You could also play him on 11.4% EV for DraftKings Sportsbook, under 5.5 for Tamani Kamara, minus 120 odds. You probably don't want it on FanDuel, but you could do under 5.5 there if you want. Ricky Council, under 3.5 rebounds. Good to go on FanDuel Sportsbook, where it's minus 136 odds, getting you 9.5% EV. Looks like it's not any of their sportsbooks. So Ricky Council only on FanDuel, 9.5% EV. You got a FanDuel bet here, Ryan. Go bet on FanDuel Sportsbook, rookie council under 3.5 rebounds. Donovan Clingan over 8.5 rebounds. Unabated has him playing 21.5 minutes. I had him at 22. Hey, this guy maybe got something right, at least in the projection front. But Donovan Clingan over 8.5 rebounds, good to go on FanDuel Sportsbook, 9.4% EV. And the other ones you don't want. So that's that. That's it. That's it. Get out of here. You kids, get off my lawn. Get a sip of water here. Sims this shit out. What are we doing here? It's fucking okay. Everything, it's simmed really fast. Okay. A, you still have pick'em sites. B, still illegal sports books. I don't know. It's the only way you're going to get gambling from me, Mr. FanDuel. Anyway, Scoot Henderson, 31.5% EV on his over 4 assists today. That one's on the PrizePicks usual pick'em odds there. Scoot Henderson also looking really mispriced. Why? That's so odd. Big misprices on Scoot Henderson. He's going to start. Over 4.5 assists on FanDuel and DraftKings, 20% EV on DraftKings plus 100, 30% EV on FanDuel plus 116. That's a bad line by those books. That's crazy. You don't see that very often. Scoot Henderson over 4 if you can get it anywhere. Eric Gordon under 1.5 assists plus 150 odds on DK Sportsbook gets you 15.7% EV for Eric Gordon under 1.5 assists. Also going to go on FanDuel under 1.5 there is plus 148 odds. Denny Avdia over 3.5 assists. Good to go at minus 102 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Gets you 8.8% EV. You probably don't want anywhere else. And DeJounte Murray under 8.5 at minus 145. It's a lot of juice to give up for that. He didn't start last game? Huh. What was the rotation for last game? He still would have played more minutes, though, than the foul trouble stuff. But good call. You can call me on that. Oh, that's right, because Kamara's back in. So, all right. So it was Simons, Grant, Williams, Kamara, Avdia. Today it'll probably be, instead of Williams, Walker or Clingan. All right, good call. Good call. But still, Scoot was on pace. He had 2 fouls, then picked up 2 more. He was still on pace to play 8 minutes plus 6.5. He was still on pace to play like about 29 minutes if he didn't get to the stupid foul trouble. So anyway, I would still take Scoot over for most things anyway. They have about 28.5 minutes today. And that's about what it looked like he would have been without the foul trouble. That's all these lines here, right? We got all the good ones. All right. PRAs, last but not least, we'll run a DFS sim. Hey, shout out JR. Sometimes the chat corrects me on things and they're not right about it. JR is actually right about it. So I'd fucking applause for me. If more people correct me on shit and they're actually correct, this would be a much easier life for me. So we have guys making up starting lineups every day and going, this guy's going to start. Like, no, he doesn't. Tamani Kamara under 17.5 PRAs, 9.7% EV on PrizePicks, 8.8% EV on DK Sportsbook at minus 120 odds. Camera, fade him today on PRA is 9.7% EV. We got Anthony Simons under 27.5 PRA. Is good to go at DraftKings Sportsbook with minus 115 odds. Gets you 9.1% EV. Still bettable on your pickup sites as well, where it's rounded up 8% on PrizePicks and Underdog under 27.5 PRAs there. So a little bit of a light Simons fade today for all the pick'em sites. And also, well, I guess only the pick'em sites. Eric Gordon under 12.5 PRAs. That one is good to go on FanDuel and on PrizePicks. Wait, no, looking at the wrong one. Sorry. That one's going to go on Underdog and PrizePicks and not good enough on FanDuel. But Anthony Simons, that's moving now. Motherfuckers. Eric Gordon under 12.5 PRAs. Anthony Simons under 27.5 PRAs. Both good. Scoot Henderson, that one moved, right? No, that one's okay. Over 18.5 PRAs, 7.8% EV. That line is moving as we speak. The yellow line is basically the ones moving in real time. But Scoot Henderson, you could bet on PrizePicks at Underdog for over 18.5 PRAs. You probably don't want it on your regular sports book because not enough EV. Yeah, a little bit of a light card. DeJounte Murray, if you really just want to bet for Underdog to round out a pick 'em. DeJounte Murray under 33.5 PRAs or lower on Underdog for DeJounte Murray. 6.5% EV for that. Theoretically, you could bet all of the 5% or higher EVs, but it's just easier for me to say 8% or higher and get you better results. So follow your heart here. Go Unabated yourself. Of course, there are a lot more teams that are normally available, but you have all the Q tags for these guys. So roll guys in, roll guys out. You want to see how markets look with John Morant out. I will say if Morant is out, there's EV on Jalen Wells is over for PRAs, and there's EV on Baines over for PRAs right now on DraftKings Sportsbook that would fit the normal criteria. Because I did that for the DK article I wrote earlier in the day. But let's go to Stokastic for the last stage in my Homer-like odyssey here. Which is going to be a movie now. Christopher Nolan adapting the Odyssey, which is insane. That's where we are in content. Anyway, check out Stokastic. One more run through the sponsors. You just saw Unabated. Check them out for $30 off. Again, a great partner for me here. If you enjoy this content, even if you're not a betting person, it's good to get Unabated's data in your life. Get their NBA DFS projections, get their bet simulation tools, get the conditional NBA projections we talk about here every day. It's at great length and show you videos about. Check it out for yourself and Unabated. And of course, Stokastic, which you're going to see on the screen right now. Let me get the sim going first. 35% to first. And the updated projections. So, hey, got it going. Stokastic, 15% off. You're going to see here what they have in their sim right now. This data, mine not influencing at all. It's only what Stokastic has on their front. But you go, of course, run the sims yourself. Get all the data. They have cheap packages. They have expensive packages with everything imaginable, including simming 5,000 lineups 10,000 times like I'm doing here on stream. So check that out for yourself. Promo code SPLASH or link in the description. Whoop-de-doo. Were they going to adapt Oedipus Rex? That's a good love story. Thank you. Thank you for that. Christopher Nolan would love to do it. At a certain point, it feels like maybe we're running out of resources to adapt. So that's where they are. Got to go back to Homer. Not based off FanDuel, solely. So we're talking about the All-Star stuff. Yeah, it's a combo, right? But it's still not like a real thing. I don't know. The players getting, I think Josh said it on the strategy show this morning, the players getting voted in like after the fact, like by, like coaches and whatever. That's the all-star stuff that matters a little bit more. Starters, you can't control that. Teams, fucking players rather, and getting ballot boxes stuffed by their fans of the local team, kind of thing you deal with more. Your top lineups right now, according to Stokastic data, again, updated here. So the stuff that I was talking about earlier, they solved while I was doing my show, which I really wish they would do it 30 minutes earlier. It really helped me out a lot. Darius Garland, Desmond Bane, Max Strus, Javonte Green, Donovan Clingan, LaMelo Ball, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey, your top lineup. So pretty big Grizzlies presence here, even with, I presume, John Morant still in the projection set. So, all right. Let's make sure that's true, just so I know what I'm talking about here. They still got Morant in, and they've got him in for 30 minutes. So if Morant's good to go, you're going to get a realistic look at it here. Your number 2 ROI lineup, LaMelo Ball again, Kelly Oubre, Max Strus, Gershon Yabusele, Donovan Clingan again, Desmond Bane, Jeremy Grant, Jared Allen. What do they have Clingan's minutes at? Sorry, I mean to keep jumping tabs for you, but they have Clingan's minutes at 23.3. I'll give him a little bit more than I did. If you give him that many minutes, you're probably not going to be able to avoid him, would be my guess. So Stokastic loving Clingan right now. Number 3, LaMelo Ball, Desmond Bane, Paul George, George Niang, Clingan once again, Jose Alvarado, Nick Smith Jr., Mark Williams. There's a Mark Williams share. Happy to see that. There's a lot of Clingan. LaMelo Ball, CJ McCollum, Max Strus, Dean Wade, Donovan Clingan, Jose Alvarado, Paul George, and Mark Williams. And number 5 is Karis LeVert, who is a Q tag. Anthony Simons, Jalen Wells, Miles Bridges, Donovan Clingan, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, Mark Williams. Yeah, today is the day. Our guy Robert Griffin III has wanted to play Clingan a lot because he's a UConn guy. Today's the day where you'd probably load up on Clingan, at least based on Stokastic data, and feel good about it. I do think maybe a little bit aggressive with that extra minute and a half they have for him, and that's the defining line for playing a guy in every lineup versus playing a guy in a good amount of lineups. But like they know more than I. That's why I want them to give me their minutes on time before I do the stream. Donovan Clingan, your highest ROI guy right now, negative 2.2% ROI, so still technically negative, but he's in a lot of lineups. Of course, some of them are going to be negative, but the ones that are positive are probably hitting at a very high rate. Max Strus, negative 4.3% ROI for him. LaMelo Ball, negative 5.1. And again, the fact these are negative, don't worry about that. It's about the directional accuracy of the ROIs relative to what Stokastic's perceiving from the data. Desmond Bane, negative 5.7% ROI. George Niang, negative 10%. Zach Edey, a slightly worse, negative 10%. Jose Alvarado, negative 11%. So those are your highest ROI guys right now. Top exposed guys is Stokastic's 150. Oh my God, it's a lot of Clingan. 92% Clingan compared to 41%. So we got a lot of him coming in. At a 4K salary, if he gets the full run of minutes as a starter, it's good. If he's not the starter, and you'll know before lock time, play less Clingan because the Stokastic's going to make him the chalk of all chalk. At 22 minutes, like I said, I thought he'd be about 20% owned. at 23-ish minutes, almost 24, you're getting about 40% owned. I mean, it's a pretty big gap. So it's a lot of clinging. That's all I'll say. I think at that point, Jabari Walker looks a little bit more appealing. That's so much. That's so much. LaMelo Ball, 59% compared to 30. So almost 2x the field on LaMelo. I am more a fan of the other Hornets there. Of course, I do have Mark Williams projected well. That said, I think Stokastic relying on the long-term sample of LaMelo. LaMelo's rates don't jump up enough with Brandon Miller off the court for me to feel bad about my projection for him. That said, he has averaged 1.5 fantasy points per minute. So he's been very good in court time without Brandon Miller. But I think that Mark Williams gains more than they're giving him credit for. Miles Bridges, you have 55% compared to the field's 51, so a little bit of a pro Miles Bridges stand. Mark Williams, 50% compared to the field's 40, so a pro Mark Williams stand as well. Desmond Bane, more than 2x the field, 41% compared to 17. Jaren Jackson, 41% compared to the field's 29. And Karis LeVert, flat with the field, 34 compared to 37, basically flat. Highest leverage, guys, no surprises. It's going to be Donovan Clingan up top, 51% leverage compared to the field's 40% ownership. So they basically wind up Clingan in almost every lineup in the top 150. LaMelo Ball, 28% leverage here. He's going to be in about 60% of your lineups overall. Desmond Bane, 24% leverage for him. He is on almost half the lineups that Stokastic has in their top 150 ROIs. Max Strus, 13% leverage on him. Jaren Jackson, 11%. Mark Williams, 9. Jose Alvarado, 7. So pretty big stands on a lot of these guys here. Alvarado one less so. Negative leverage, guys. They want to get less Jared Allen. The matchup really does seem like one that Jared Allen should gobble up in the middle. Just going against Yabu and Adem Bona, who's, again, I can't say it enough. He's really one of the most unimpressive centers out there. It's him and Jericho Sims. At least Sims rebounds aggressively sometimes. I do not like Bona at all. The point being, like, Philly's got no center, so Jared Allen, they're saying fade him. I don't necessarily feel that way. I like Mark Williams a lot more, but I'd still play Jared Allen 6,900. Trey Murphy, big negative stand here, negative 14% for him leverage. Paul George, negative 13%. I was flat with the field on George, so I would push back on that a little. Yabu, negative stand on him, negative 12%. He's basically the primary big man now for Philadelphia going against Cleveland. DeJounte Murray, negative 12%. Mitchell, negative 11%. And Santi Aldama, negative 10% leverage. So always hurts a little bit to see when I'm going kind of in contrast to Stokastic here, but we'll see how that looks, guys. My splash plays for the day. You guys know the deal. Before I give them out, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Trying to get some 1K subs here for the All-Star break. And I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to push as hard as I can. I think we can pull it off if I keep putting in that elbow grease and showing up Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. as I do. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. It goes a long way for me. Just one guy running an NFL channel or an NBA channel, doing the best I can to stay up on both and the constant news cycle that requires. Sponsors, check them out. Underdog, promo code SPLASH. They're all promo code SPLASH. Stokastic, 15% off. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Unabated, $30 off for a monthly package on there. NBA projections, a new product they have out too. Check them all out. Click link in the description or use promo code SPLASH when you sign up. All right, so my splash plays today. Mark Williams has to be one. Going through my data again. Darius Garland has to be one. In terms of value, I'm going to get more Clingan because I'm going to use Stokastic minutes. I'm a little bit spooked by it. I would say more so whoever starts out of Walker and Clingan, I would just play more of, I think. Clingan versus Mark Williams is going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of like the Zach Edey matchup where I think Mark Williams is going to break him down over the course of time. Jabari Walker versus Mark Williams is going to get his ass kicked if he starts. So love Mark Williams, but I like other center going against him. There is a little bit of a push-pull on that. If Mark Williams crushes, the other center might be a little bit less good. Besides that, Yabu a core play. Miles Bridges a core play. If you get Bridges and Ball out, whoever is left for the Hornets is going to be core plays for me, including Mark Williams. That's where I am right now, guys. But that's it for me for the week. Of course, I'll be back on Monday on the NBA channel at 4 p.m. I'll also be on the Splash Play NFL channel Sunday at 9 a.m. giving my final takes over the conference title games. So come back for that. Shout out to all you guys hanging out. And for all you guys hanging out, make sure you gamble responsibly here. Even though it is always money time on the Splash Play channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Shout out to the chat as well. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. Even the guys that I have to mute. I love you guys for wanting to participate. It's just, sometimes a little bit much. I don't know. I hope the people come back and reframe themselves, get themselves good to go. I'll be busy taking care of a almost 3-year-old all weekend by myself. So pray for Spags. See you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekends. Good luck. Bye-bye.